Welcome to ET Digital Conversation with the Mumbai Tech Week founders team. Mumbai is India's financial capital and we all know it. But now it wants to make a bigger claim that it can also become one of India's most important tech cities. So today, we're not just doing yet another generic future of tech conversation. We're asking the questions young India cares about. Can Mumbai really challenge Bengaluru as a serious startup city? Or does it stand to gain by becoming the AI city of the world? Let's begin this conversation with the Mumbai Tech Week founders team and understand why they've decided to put Mumbai on the tech world map. Welcome to ET Digital Conversation. First of all, congratulations. You have put up a third attempt at bringing Mumbai on the tech map. And this time, the way it's been planned, you expect a huge footfall, great conversations, you have a great lineup of speakers as well. But for us, it's important to understand, why do you think you need to put Mumbai on the tech map? Why do you need to have a 2-day mega event to tell people that this city is not just the financial capital, but it also has a heart that beats for tech. It has a tech pulse of its own. So if I can start with you, Aakrit, how did this event come into being?
So in mid 2022, coming out of COVID, some of us, as we were all moving back to office, when remote was starting to slowly become less cool, we started thinking about what does it mean for all of us as founders who are building companies in Mumbai. Deepak, typically most great solutions start from a personal problem. And it was a personal problem for all of us that, hey, listen, as engineers are coming back, as product managers are coming back, where do they want to be? And we saw that for a combination of reasons, the perception was that it was not Mumbai, right? The perception was, like you said, financial capital, entertainment capital, but not really a tech city, right? There are other cities which, of course, have done very well to position themselves like that, whether it is a Bengaluru or Hyderabad, Pune, Gurgaon, to that degree. So as the extension to the personal problem, we said that is an issue for us as founders running these companies, because if our talent starts thinking that this is not the city for me to be in long term, then that starts hurting our businesses. I think at a conference or an event, and some of us got talking, and then we had a first meeting, call it the 5 families meeting in mid 2022 to say how do we fix it. One thing led to the other, and some of us stood up and said, let's build an association. And then, we got together and formed the Tech Entrepreneurs Association of Mumbai with the mission of advancing the local tech startup ecosystem in the city. And that constitutes broadly 3 pillars. Policy and infra, what can we do to influence that? A very strong sense of community. So how do all of us ensure at least we are there for each other? Because if we are there for each other, then our teams also will be, and we can create a larger community in the city. And then finally is visibility, which is through events like these, sessions like these, and other things that we do. How do we change the perception that this is not only a financial capital? And there's a lot more going on. Today, the association has 85 members. And when I say members, there's a certain size of company as a tech company you need to be, because we take donations as grants for member fees. So these are 85 unicorns and sunicorns, who are a part of this group, who actually are active. That as part of this association, now we host this event every year, which ends up being a flagship event, with the same goal of advancing the ecosystem with policy, community and visibility at the heart of it.
But, Naiyya, coming to you, if you chose that this is the city and this is what we need to work towards, what was the first biggest ever challenge that you came across, which you said, okay, if I can crack this, I think then we've got our game and act right?
There were 2 reasons really, and I think 2, not challenges, but I think 2 opportunities before us as a city. One is that what is really interesting is that the tech ecosystem in Bombay is actually one of the largest profitable tech ecosystems, right? So if you look at the unicorn and unicorn companies building out of Bombay, I think there's an appreciation on fundamentals, there's a business understanding, there's a level of professionalism in just the culture with which they operate, which is very unique, I would say, when you think about tech in most general terms, right? So there is something very special about that. And I think the profitable ecosystem ensures that you can also invest more, therefore, in R&D, into technology. You can invest in people. So that's one thing that's really interesting about Bombay. The second is that it is actually a hub. It is not just a finance hub. I mean, if you look at your top, 4 out of 5 largest by market cap companies are based out of Bombay, right? You have BFSI, you have media, you have consumer, you have manufacturing in the outskirts as well. You have a whole host of companies and enterprises based in Bombay, and also access to capital and credit. The stock exchange is located here. Most of the top VC funds and private equity funds are also located here, right? So I think in totality, it's a very interesting ecosystem we're building out, because you're closest to your sources of capital, closest to your consumers, and closest to seeing your technology products being applied at scale, because you have access to these enterprise customers as well. So I think that is what really makes Bombay extremely interesting. And just last but not least, I knew that as a woman, I'd be working crazy hours. Bombay is the safest city there is in India. I think we often underplay the social infrastructure of the ecosystems we build out of. It is one of the most important pieces.
You talk about finance, and this city is known to understand money and finance very well. When I hear you, I also somewhere hear you making a claim that this city understands the value and importance of money and making a profit. So it doesn't necessarily want to, at least the startup founders here don't want to burn money, someone else's money, and make their billions. They value profitability more, and they understand the importance of making money or EBITDA better compared to other cities. Is that a claim that you're making?
It is not a claim. Actually, we had a McKinsey report commissioned last year, which is the vision of Mumbai in 2035. And we've literally called it AI 2035. And there's actually fact to the effect that if you look at the ecosystem that's building out of Bombay, the majority of the companies building out are actually profitable. But by the way, Deepak, I also don't want to stilt the vision, because see, tech is also big, bold bets in the future. There's an innovation mandate to tech. So it's not always to be stifled by profitability or by EBITDA necessarily. I think it just the fact remains that coincidentally, maybe, the tech companies building out of Bombay happen to be profitable at scale as well.
So you're saying people here, at least the startup founders here, get the dhanda more?
I think they make each rupee count, and the teams understand the value of money and time.
But no, I think short answer, at least to chime in over here, 100%. I think, and the reason for that is not because one is good or somebody is bad. I think the reason for it is each city and ecosystem has its place, right? See, Mumbai generally has built application tech companies, right? Like generally, because that's how people and founders have known over here to build. Application tech companies arguably should get profitable sooner than, let's say, core deep tech, right? Because that takes, correct, or that takes a longer time. So that's one. Fintech, for example. Fintech, arguably, everybody is, call it a financial services company with tech on top. I mean, those companies should ideally get profitable sooner. So I think it's a nature of just the
kind of businesses.
The kind of businesses, yeah. So I don't necessarily think that, oh, a guy over here starts out saying, I care more about profitability than a guy in Delhi or Bangalore. I think it happens to be the nature of businesses also.
Or the ecosystem that necessitates it. Because if you have RBI here, you have so many financial institutions here, you would have engineers gravitate towards solving problems that lie in and around the ecosystem.
Or for that matter, D2C brands. Right, there's tons and tons. I mean, obviously, Naiyya is building one across D2C and AI, but there's so many. And by logic, why does that business need beyond a certain amount of capital? It should be profitable sooner. So I think that it ends up being just ecosystem and combination of businesses.
Right. Mayank, with your experience and understanding of Mumbai, and I assume you're a Mumbai.
No.
No?
So Mumbai has been my entire work life.
Okay.
So my childhood was in Assam. I studied in Delhi. And then I've been in Mumbai from first day of my job.
Right. And Naiyya, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Calcutta. Then I went to the US for my MBA. And after that, I came back to Bombay.
you can make claim that you born and brought up in Mumbai.
Homegrown Mumbaikar.
Is he the one who baptized the two of you, or the ecosystem around this city to make it go? Because I mean, now you're championing the cause of not your home city or hometown, but something that you've adopted today. But yeah, coming back to you, Mayank, if for a kid who grew up in Assam and went across maybe other cities and now has settled in Mumbai, what works in Mumbai better than Bengaluru, Pune, Hyderabad or any other city? Because I'm sure for your business and your startup, you would have assessed other cities.
No, I think just one point I want to add to this. While I grew up in Assam, my dad was not born in Assam. So I always had this notion that there is a Janmbhoomi, a place where you grew up, and there's a Karmabhoomi where you work. And for me, Mumbai has been that one place. I would say the only one thing, there could be 3-4 things that I can count it out for you, but the biggest thing here is just the level of professionalism. I think you will not, by far, not have any other city come anywhere close to what Mumbai has to offer in terms of professionalism. And it's something that touches you across different sort of facets of life. Whether you're at home, you don't worry if somebody is going to come and, I don't know, I'm just an electrician coming in, will he or she come on time or not? They will land up on time. If you are taking up a rickshaw to move in maybe from one place to another, you know that they will not charge a single penny more. In fact,
things work at clock speed and people understand the value of time.
And that's something the city has as a nature developed because of it's a city with congested infrastructure, and therefore people value time a lot. I first came to Mumbai in 2005, and that's the time, I don't know if you remember, there was a big sort of rainfall in Kalina was flooded, and I was in Kalina. So I walked with my phone in my hand with water till here.
Was this 2005, the cloudburst?
Yeah, the cloudburst that happened. And next time, somebody asked me to stay over at their place in Parla. So I walked from Kalina to Parla, stayed at his house. Next day morning, I took a rickshaw to go to Borivali. That's where I was living. And I paid in, there was a bill of, I think, 75 or 70 rupees or 72 rupees. I paid him 80. And he gave me back 8 rupees. I said, no, you can keep it. He said, no, don't spoil me. And it was a day after the heavy rains. So I think this is what defines the city, that sometimes you, in very invisible way, the professionalism comes out. And therefore, building here is with a lot of predictability, which in some other parts, whether it is on electricity, whether people landing up on time, if it's raining, they will still come on time. I think a lot of these things allow, as an entrepreneur or as a businessman, for you to build things without thinking of too many variables which are not in your control, because you know that this will happen, and as you rightly said, it's sort of like clockwork, and things work out.
In a founder's journey, anyway, there are unknown unknowns. But here, at least, if you have predictability, then you have trust that there are some knowns which I can live with and learn with. The rest of the other unknowns, I'll figure out.
100%. You have heavy rains, next day people still will land up at 9 a.m. in the office. I think these are just sometimes you take it for granted, but it shows up in your bandwidth that you're not thinking about things that you should not be bothered about. And something in other cities is not that easy to get out.
But beyond this, does Mumbai today, this was back then 2005 for you, today we are in 26. Does the city need more capital? Does it need more engineers? Does it need a product founder mindset, or does it just need founder density to increase and go up? Today the founder density is high in Bengaluru, one can say, and maybe some other cities. Does it need founder density first to begin with, and then rest will fall in the place?
No, I think you asked the question to Naiyya also, but I just will answer that. The single most important thing is talent. If talent is here, you will see people starting up much better. If talent is here, you will see a lot of folks sort of going out and maybe hiring from other places. The reason, let's say Bangalore is a good example, right? The why it works out is, you said engineering college density. I agree to that point, but very importantly, a lot of IT services company began there. Because these IT services companies began there, now today, if somebody has to start up something, access to talent is there.
They were the first ones to draw in talent from across the nation, plonk it in one city. Others are now harvesting those benefits.
Exactly. So I think that's the single most important thing. And I think Aakrit also mentioned, while we are doing a whole lot of policy, infra, etc. work, the biggest objective for us is if we can have talent be here. You have IIT Mumbai, you have VJTI, you have all the Pune engineering colleges, you have all the private universities coming and setting up, EduCity is coming up in Navi Mumbai. So the government is also putting a lot of thrust to create the capacity for creating talent to be here. As talent starts making Mumbai their home, everything else will a fallout of that. If talent was not there, if Google was not there in the valley, and you did not have the talent density there, founder density would not have happened. And that's what at sort of team, our objective is to just get as much talent to be here and not leave after completing their education.
But for them not to leave would mean that enough startups have jobs for them, and that too cutting edge technology which other cities or even other countries are ready to offer.
Yeah, but come to think of it, one of the largest technology company, if I could put that as technology company, Jio, which is based in Mumbai, that has a talent density. Hotstar is one of the biggest sort of media streaming platform that has a special talent density. GCCs today have the highest density of establishing here. Yes, Bangalore is picked up very well and sort of is now moving a lot of share of GCCs, but JP Morgans and all the IT companies started their GCC journeys from Mumbai. And then finally, you have data centers, which is all sort of coming up in Mumbai itself. So there's a lot of ingredient, but I think in the journey, I would say in the last 10, 15 years, somehow we have lost a bit of that narrative of that talent density being in Mumbai.
So, but for talent density to stay here, today's talent, Aakrit, wants to do anything and everything with AI. You're someone who dabbled with AI, if I can say, way back a decade. What is it that you as an organization or some of the founders that are working towards this initiative, attempting to make Mumbai that AI capital or AI kind of startup city? Because this is today, if any city wants to establish as one place where a lot of stuff around AI has happened, that position or that label is yet there to take. Bengaluru can compete for it, Hyderabad, Pune. As of today, that perception has not been built that this city is great doing stuff in AI, or there are a lot of founders doing AI stuff in this city. That's an opportunity to be taken as yet. Are you guys thinking, because for talent of today, they want to do anything and everything around AI because they think that's the buzzword. बिकेगा तो यही बिकेगा, otherwise इसके funding में किसी के लिए नहीं मिलेगा. So, are you guys thinking around that, or is there something that is part of your charter?
So we have to make it a part of our charter because Mumbai naam mein hi AI hai na. Mumbai AI. This is a stolen line from my co-conspirator Harsh Jain, who couldn't make it today, but he says that he sort of thought of this and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, you know, the name itself has it, right? And look, not participating in AI today is akin to saying that you're not going to be a digital company, forget internet company. It's like fundamental to everything that we're going to do moving forward for the next few years, right? You know, it's funny, again, this is part of why we're talking to you, right? We have this narrative problem. Mumbai, what happens is, back to what Mayank was also saying, like the city is a very like, come, work hard, do your office work, go back home to your kids, sleep, exercise, play a sport, come back to work, right? We've not had the time or the mind space, even as founders, to come and blow the horn a little bit. Mumbai always tends to be slightly call it not loud, not bling, right? I think in that sense, kudos to particularly Bangalore, who does a great job at always coming out. Bangalore
Marketing, canvassing, stuff like that.
So many unicorns, so much stuff. Obviously, Delhi, obviously, by design is generally a slightly more vocal city always, right? We are always like, you know, dhanda karo and do well and go back home. Now, extending this to AI, I'll give you some fun facts, okay? The 50% of India's AI data center capacity is going to be Mumbai. 50%. The reason is we are the only city that has reliable land, electricity, power, water to be able to build this capacity. We already have sea cables coming out. It's just a matter of now deploying it. New Mumbai is coming up across the sea. 50% of AI data centers. So the bottommost layer of AI power will come from here. Second, as of today, amongst the 10 largest AI companies in India, native AI startups of India, revenue-wise, 5 are in Mumbai. 5 out of 10. NASA, Fractal, which is now IPO, InVideo, Haptik, arguably it's part of a larger entity, but it still runs independently, and Cure AI, which is our largest health tech AI company. 5 out of 10 by revenue are in Mumbai. And then finally, the third, OpenAI, Anthropic, and the largest US labs, their largest sets of volume of customers from a billing perspective in India is Mumbai again, because all the enterprise businesses here. So the application of AI is happening here. You have certain incumbents that have done well, and obviously data center capacity is here. So it's a very natural breeding ground to create the next generation of AI companies. Further, what fascinates me, by the way, this is also my other hat as an investor today, and we tell all our companies and everybody we talk to, you don't need that many people to build AI companies anymore. So what other cities' huge advantage was, listen, once I cross 500 engineers, it's hard to build in Mumbai. It absolutely is. I completely agree. Once you cross 500 engineers, it's hard. Talent, space, all that. You don't need that anymore. There are global AI companies that are doing hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue at 70 people, 80 people, 200 people. We have companies that we see every day now that within 5 people are getting to like $3 million of revenue. So the bug that Mumbai had, which is space, land, it becomes a feature, which is that, look, you need leaner teams, lesser number of people eventually for native AI, core AI companies. So, it's sort of lent itself very well. So, spot on that, right, who's the AI city is yet to be captured, and we are doing a lot as team, and these fact patterns that are suggested to you hopefully point in the direction which we can.
So, he talked about talent density. You're saying that, hey, you know what, the lack of overall net content talent pool, if Mumbai has the less of it, AI companies actually don't need enough. So make that as a virtue and take that perception game head on and build for it.
The bigger ones, the revenue companies also, right? So 5 out of the top 10 revenue companies are Mumbai. 5 out of the top 50 are also Mumbai. So what that means is the less 40 are not here. So we are always quality over quantity. So same goes with talent. The moment you need 1,000 engineers, Mumbai doesn't have the big IT services companies to supply sort of these engineers. But at a leaner team, it actually probably works out better.
Also, just to build on that, I think it goes back to the quality of talent, right? And I think if you just look at some of the numbers there as well, right? If you look at the top 10 engineering colleges in India, the top 30% is actually based in Bombay, in Maharashtra. And in terms of engineering output, you're seeing almost 1.5 lakh engineers being churned out from engineering colleges in Bombay / like the broader Bombay ecosystem. Now, what does this talent really want to do? See, today's talent is very discerning. They don't want to just do everything and anything. They want to solve some hard, real world, at scale problems, right? And therefore, Bombay and overall the Maharashtra ecosystem offers that. We're talking about BFSI, right? That's one big problem statement that they can solve just sitting out of Bombay. We're talking about consumer, right? You cannot negate the role that consumer has and the transformation consumer is undergoing with AI, right? And some very sticky problems across marketing, advertising, even formulations that people can play using AI, right? Then you talk about hardware, manufacturing. If you look at this entire Maharashtra belt, Bombay to Maharashtra belt, right? Some of the largest textile companies, some of the largest robotics companies, some of the largest even engineering for home devices companies, they're all based in this belt. And therefore, like the application of AI in these real world scenarios across multiple spaces, edtech again, gaming again, Bombay, right? So I think you're looking at quality of talent, but you're also looking at where talent gets attracted to and says, I can play across multiple sectors here, and I can play whatever I build here is taken to scale.
But when it comes to support for the city, what aspect do you think Mumbai needs to fix ASAP so as to be able to not just attract but also retain the AI talent? What does the city need, or what do you seek? Could be from the government, could be from institutions, could be from even the private equity or funding folks. What does the city need to fix?
So there was a very big in the initial days, and I think it's still a WIP, but it's moving very well, which is just the cost of infrastructure, the cost of land, the cost of actually just setting up a startup or a brave new venture out of Bombay. But that has actually been solved to a large extent. We just talked about all the infrastructure projects that are.
So when you say cost, is it the land?
It is the cost of living, cost of rental, cost of office space, the works, right? I mean, you need to put people together somewhere, you need to live somewhere. But I think that to a large extent is already solved and in the process of getting solved. You've seen the coastal road, you've seen the metro, right? You're seeing sort of the interlinkages. Navi Mumbai connected to the city through the Atal Setu, right? There's a innovation city that's coming up that the government is investing in. With the it's almost like parts of it is a PPP as well. So there's a lot that's changing on the hard infrastructure perspective, right? I think where things probably need to change is in terms of saying, can there be almost like in the heart of the city, and it's a question to us, right? Can there be a place which is almost like a startup hub? Right now, a lot of the ventures, a lot of the founders and the teams are building across Bombay. And, for whatever that's worth, it creates little innovation centers, right? So you see Andheri, Goregaon, South Bombay, you see Navi Mumbai. But is there a possibility where, let's say, if somebody's starting off fresh, is there almost like an innovation ecosystem somewhere in the heart of Bombay that can be set up? So everybody who's plugging into or trying to build from scratch, there's one space, almost like a physical end-to-end space, where regulatory, policy, founder support, investor support, etc., all comes into play to support that person in building their base off. I would say that for me is one of the biggest pieces. It also attracts a lot of talent considering Bombay to come into, right? Because team has created that soft infrastructure already, right? When somebody comes into the US or from the UK, etc., or even from other cities, they know they can plug into the team ecosystem. And there's a soft infrastructure we kind of induct them into. But is there a hard infrastructure that is almost like an end-to-end solution for somebody looking to build?
But Mayank, you work in the tech space also. COVID came, it said work from home, everything remote, don't worry. Talent doesn't need to come and meet each other and we have infrastructure or office space. That a trend started. And then reverse started happening. No, you know what? Let's at least have 2 to 3 days a week coming into office. Now there's AI. AI is in a way giving that perception that you actually need less people. And we talked about it earlier. That you need quality talent, but you don't need voluminous talent, right? When you see work from home, remote trends, and then you see less volume of people, does infrastructure or an ecosystem then really become the bottleneck for a city? Because if things can happen virtually, cloud, can this ecosystem still be set up, not requiring the physical space for it?
So on this point, I'm very old school. I think physical infrastructure is important, and I'm also I'm a basic economics believer. It's very difficult to fight against $1 trillion that has gone into building infrastructure. This infrastructure is designed to encourage interaction, designed to sort of exchanging of ideas and exchanging of thoughts. Creativity comes out when you're physically present there. But that's my view. Somebody asked me, what's your view from work from home? I said, you have Saturday, Sunday, you can work from home. The rest of the day, please come to the office.
But the startup founder works every day. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can use Saturday, Sunday to work from home also, if you want to work from home as an option. And I think even this time when Prime Minister Modi spoke about work from home initiative, we need to also understand there is a reason why office exists. But having said that, like coming back to your point on talent, etc., I still believe that cost of living and the cost of infrastructure is an important part for making sure that a lot of engineers settle down here and look at building a long-term professional, personal life in Mumbai. That's definitely one such thing. We can say the teams will be smaller. Yeah, that helps, but the team still needs to meet someplace for exchanging of ideas, exchanging of thoughts. And there's a very interesting saying that when you say if the infrastructure improves, the real estate cost goes up, but in reality, the cost of living is inversely correlated to the quality of infrastructure. As the quality of infra improves, a person can live in Navi Mumbai and still come to South Mumbai to start working. And slowly, that's what we are seeing happening in Mumbai. With the metro coming in, with the coastal road coming in, with the sort of the Atal Setu coming in, the cost of living, people can afford to live in Navi Mumbai and still come to Lower Parel and start working there. So we'll see that improving. But at the same time, I agree to the other point that you mentioned, that the team size may be smaller. You may not need 1,000 engineers to solve a problem. But most importantly, Deepak, what ends up happening is when you're building a use case, which is the application layer of AI, you have to sell to somebody. And all the registered headquarters of all large enterprises are in Mumbai. So if anybody is building anywhere, you have to come to Mumbai to sell. And selling happens mostly face to face. So again, engineers need to be in Mumbai to be closer to the actual application layer, whether it is fintech, whether it is government, whether it is sort of large buyers, everybody is in Mumbai, whether it is levers to a Geo to a HDFC or an ICICI, everybody is here, so you have to come here. And therefore, the infra cost definitely plays an important role for people to be here, but smaller team can achieve a lot more, and that's the beauty of Mumbai, that can sort of unlock that AI layer for Mumbai over a period of time.
Let me also build on that, Deepak. Innovation often is thriving from serendipitous moments, right? If you look at the Bay Area, or if you look at even the East Coast, right, which is where I was living earlier, it was about just bumping into people, right, in a coffee shop, on the street, in a college campus, in a social gathering. And that would spark off a conversation which would take an innovative idea from X to Y. Now, those moments of serendipity only come usually from physical connect, right? If you're setting up time on a Hangout or a Zoom meeting, it's a very transactional conversation. So that is really, I think that's why I kept on mentioning the soft infrastructure team has created almost some structured serendipitous moments, right? Through the community meetups. Mumbai Tech Week is a very phenomenal example of that, where there'll be thousands of people bumping into each other, spending time together, absorbing and jamming off each other, and there'll be serendipitous moments, created out of that. But I think there needs to be something more structural at scale to create serendipity.
The physical proximity of bumping into each other, I think in Mumbai's local train gives you the maximum opportunity ever. The only thing is you need to just take up one station and make it an AI station. Have just AI ideas being brewed on the platform of Mumbai Local. Because
the funny story behind this is actually that's an idea we've had. What you just mentioned, and this is inspired from something in Paris called Station F. So Station F in Paris, by the way, backstory on this is that what we are trying to do with Mumbai, Paris had the same problem, say roughly 15 years back, where Europe startups were disappearing. Paris was irrelevant as a tech center because London was still the more pronounced one because they had the AI companies there. So, they went in and did a lot, and amongst the sets of things that they did, they set up something called a Station F. It's a 1 million square feet startup hub, which actually used to be a station, a railway station. They converted it into a 1 million square feet hub, which consists of corporate startups and VCs. I've actually been there and actually toured around the entire place, and it's fascinating what they were able to do. And guess what? All of these years of work, the only AI company, the only model lab in the world that's come out from Europe came out from there, called Mistral.
I think in Mumbai infrastructure, since I lived for a few years that side, Seawoods has this huge complex, from what I remember, in Navi Mumbai, which has buildings and office everywhere, which is where maybe you can, and it's cheaper compared to the hub of Mumbai. Great. Thanks a lot.